Welcome back to Cats and Camo, part 2 of the Springfield XDS. So, having the optional extended magazine that comes with the gun, 7 rounds, 7 targets, torso on the left, 5 zombie heads, torso on the right. Hopefully, 1 shot for each. The Springfield XDS. I've been eaten by zombies.
Alright everyone, now it's my turn to shoot the Springfield XDS on my specialty course.
And by specialty course, she means she's shooting bowling pins with a 45, because really, doesn't everybody?
Exactly.
So, Allie's got 4 pins, and as always, a can of my shaving cream. It's like every day she raids the medicine cabinet. Here you are, and again, since it's very cold out today, I was helping you out. Loaded, chambered, ready for the bowling alley. Rack this up. Two for one by shooting our fence rail.
We are back from the range with our Springfield XDS, giving it a final review.
I think I'm still cold. It was like 20 degrees out with 15 to 25 mile an hour winds and no coat and no gloves because I'm poor or stupid or both. I wanted to shoot the gun and look as normal as I can for being me. So I do still feel cold, actually. But let's talk about comfort, since we're talking about cold.
Well, we have an 8-point system that we grade this on, anywhere from 1 to 5.
And our first of 8 categories is comfort of grip. It's extremely flat, and so it doesn't fit comfortably in your hands. And the stippling on the XDS series is actually pretty aggressive, so it doesn't really feel comfortable to hold. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. For me when I shoot it. 2.
I got to shoot this with the regular mag and the extended mag, which it does come standard with both, so I'm told. But shooting with just the regular magazine, it was uncomfortable. It was a little awkward to hold. The extended mag made it nicer to shoot. But if you're shooting with the regular one, you know, versus, you know, nice with the extended, not nice with the regular, it comes out to a 2, actually.
Let's talk about the sights on this gun. The front sight on this is a red fiber optic sight, which means when you shoot the gun during the daylight, that front sight is popping. It is wonderful and it is easy to see. But this is a defensive concealed carry gun. Fiber optics at night do not light up at all, which means the front sight is invisible. I would give it a 1, except it's only dark half the time, or a little less. So I'm going to give it a 2.
Only having the experience of shooting this gun during the daylight, I found the fiber optic sight very nice. And since that's what I'm rating this on, is what I've actually shot and not all the ins and outs of if and when or wheres. I have to go on when I shot it, and it was daylight when I shot it, and I loved that red dot. Again, in the daylight, it is easy to pick up. You put it on point, and it works. So I had to give it a 4 out of 5.
Let's talk about the trigger. It's a 45. It shoots a heavy round, and the trigger was unpleasant. Pulling the trigger, I didn't like it very much. It affected how I shot, I felt. So I gave the trigger on this gun a 2 as well.
I don't think I ever will find a gun that has a long pull that I'm going to like. If I do, I'll let you know, trust me. But for right now, if it has a long pull, it scares me almost. I'm just waiting for it to fire and waiting for it to fire and waiting for it to fire, and that just scares me. The more I have to shoot it is that unexpected, I can't find where that pull point actually is, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I had to give it a 1.
Let's talk about perceived recoil. Some of the recoil that was painful was through the trigger, but I feel like that would have been mitigated by a better trigger. The rest of the recoil wasn't a big deal. It seemed industry standard going from target to target on that. So I'm giving that a 3.
I'm sure there is a perfectly good explanation for putting a 45 in a tiny carry gun. I am sure. And I'm sure the comments are going to tell me what that reason is. But I don't like it. I have a hard enough time with regular 45s. You put a 45 in this tiny thing, yikes! I didn't like the recoil. It was scary at times. Not necessarily every shot, because I was trying to get used to it, but I have to give it a 2 out of 5.
Let's talk about accuracy. It's accurate enough when you get past the trigger and the recoil, and it worked fine. The bullets went where I thought they were going to go and where I expected them. So I gave it a 3 for that.
I was about 50-50, I think, on my specialty course. 3 out of 5, or 3 out of, yeah, it was 5 that we only shot. On the paper course, when you factor in percentages, it just wasn't enough to meet my expectation of accuracy for a gun like this, and so for that reason I had to give it a 2.
Let's talk about ease of reload, and I realize we skipped that part of the recording. This gun has good and bad. The good is the magazine itself feeds into the gun very well. The bad is the magazine button on this gun is hard to hit, and it's hard to hit correctly. It has to be coming in, around it, and then push straight in, which is a very difficult thing to do with a hand that's wrapped around the frame. That negative with the plus of how easy it is to put the magazine in, I gave it a 3.
What was cool was it's ambidextrous, which is something that I look for in a gun, but even with that, the button needs to be easy for me to hit. I mean, I got small hands, so you'd think, no problem. But it almost, I don't know if it sticks or if it's just the tension on it is enough that you have to put a lot of pressure on it, and you have to hit it, like you said, just right. And that makes it for an inconvenience almost. So 2 out of 5 is what I had to give it, actually.
Let's talk about reliability. We had a little bit more trouble getting the gun to feed properly with the extended magazine. It didn't seem to work as smoothly and as clean as with the shorter magazine. But overall, for a tiny carry gun, I gave it a 3, industry standard for that.
Would I trust my life to this gun? Some people say that's not what reliability is about, but for me it is.
Yes, it is.
And if I'm having trouble with failures to eject or failures to feed, it means I can't really rely on the gun. And there were a couple times, or enough times, it wasn't just once, like, oops, that was a fluke. There were a couple times where it actually failed to eject or failed to feed, and that's a problem. So for that reason, I did give it a 2 out of 5.
Let's talk about ease of maintenance and cleaning. When the takedown lever rotates the other direction, so it's pointing up and is now in the way for you to take the slide off and put it back on, I don't understand the reasoning behind it. It keeps an experienced shooter from being able to take the gun apart and put it back together very well, that to me seems like it's a problem. So I gave it a 2.
Watching him take it apart, to me it seemed like something that could be easily just kind of either avoided, or you take it and after a certain point you just lift your thumb and take the slide off with it. And I don't know, to me it just seemed like it wasn't a big deal. But again, I'm a novice. I haven't taken any guns apart. I haven't actually done it myself. So for that reason, I did just give it a 3.
Well, let's total up the scores for our Springfield XDS. I gave this gun a 20.
My score comes out to only 18 points.
So there's the bad news.
Is there any good news?
We have other guns to review.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you liked this video, point those crosshairs at the like button down below. And stay tuned for more reviews coming soon. See you then. You got picture?
I do.
You got sound?
Except I'm in the picture. This is not pretty. This is not what should welcome people back to our program. Dan! They want to see Allie.